What's going on, guys? Magdown here. Week 1 of the Arch Nemesis League is over. I had a lot of fun making this Righteous Fire Inquisitor character, and I wanted to do one last update video before I go back to a more healthy amount of playing the game and start doing some more streaming and maybe trying to make some more YouTube content, maybe make some more characters, that type of thing. Or maybe we'll just keep going with this guy and see what happens if we invest a lot more currency. So if you're interested in hearing about that, stick around. Alright, let's take a look at the character here. Level 95, which I'm really happy about. That was my main goal for the first week. I wanted to see if I could push that. I've never done it quite that fast. See our stats here. 30,000 plus armor with the current setup. Take a look at the gear real quick. Same helmet, same gloves, new chest. I wanted to try this enchant, but it's really not that much better than the chest piece I was using before. The new implicits are really powerful, and I would rather get another chest piece that has this enchant where I could use those implicits if possible. Switched over to using this amulet, and it works really well. I got a better shield, but it had less fire res on it. So the solution to that is Molten One's Mark. So my fire res is effectively the same as when I had the Rise of the Phoenix, but now I have 1,000 armor, a little bit more life from the shield, and a ton more damage for your shield charge. I think belt's the same one I had, boots are the same, gloves, still using the shitty pyre ring. Probably going to replace that with a curse on hit ring, free up some space here in our sockets. And we were pretty successful in terms of making currency. The build is able to do that, no problem. We did get scammed trying to buy a replica soul tether. That hurt pretty bad. That was about 6 exalt, and it was just my fault. I wasn't paying attention. My exuberance and fun outweighed my caution buying an item that expensive as early in the league. I should have been more should have just been more on my game in that sense. So that hurt, but we bounced back. We still achieved the level that we wanted, and frankly, I don't need it. I don't think you need it at all for the game in its current state. Not if you just want to farm tier 16 maps, super juiced up. I only die when it's my fault. This build only dies if you mess up. There's not an issue of juicing a map slightly and then you're just dead. So, on that note, I'm going to just fire up one map here real quick and show you how the build plays with... I don't even know what you would call this. I don't know how expensive the gear is now. Pricing is super crazy. I don't want to... I had some people complain the last time I tried to estimate the value of gear, and so I'll just say the only item that was difficult to acquire was the shield. Otherwise, I think all this stuff is pretty accessible. So take that as you will. But I don't think any of this gear is crazy. And so I think you can easily set it up the way that you want. The one thing that maybe is a little hard to attain right now is the medium cluster jewels with Master of Fire and Circling Oblivion. I was really happy to acquire that, and I did it early enough that I think I got this cheaper than it's going to be if you try and make the build a little bit later. I mean, don't quote me on that. It's just me shooting the shit and making a random prediction, but I think the reason I was able to get this cheap is because everyone has to get the Master of Fire, because that's part of the build archetype, unless you want to go with one of the glove implicits. So, let's clear a map here. Go. Harbinger here. Take him out. Oh, chunky pack. And so I'm just using Frost Blink every little every like 4 seconds just to keep the consecrated ground going from our ascendancy. And then most of the time, regardless of map tier or juice level, you can just run through and 90% of the mobs are going to die, and then anything that doesn't die is going to get killed by itself when you run back through to loot. And I'm in AoE setup, but we'll go ahead and trap the boss a little bit here. And then I want to show you something that's, for me, this is super fun. Because I always play builds that just, I have to dodge every mechanic or I'll die. And in this case, I'm just going to straight up take my hands off the keyboard. And he can do whatever he wants. And it's just not going to work. Look at that. That couldn't even get through the regen. It looked like maybe it took away a little tiny bit of my health at the very beginning there, but the regen's crazy, especially with that amulet. We're at almost 2k. Not as high as I thought it was, but still pretty crazy. Over 1600 life regen a second. And then having that apply to the energy shield is really insane, which I assume is why the soul tether, the replica soul tether, is so desirable. So we'll go ahead and take him out. Pick that up. And so that's how the build runs. For me, this is super luxury. This is like it's like your grandpa's super expensive retirement luxury sedan. It's fast, but it's not like a sports car. It's not crazy like the Fireball build was. It's not glass cannony. It's very tanky. You can play methodical. But you've got the 2 movement skills. When you take life nodes, it increases your damage. Everything just feels good. There's nothing in the game that feels cheap anymore. In the sense that if I die, I know I fucked up because the defenses are strong enough that I see what's going on. If I kill a whole screen of enemies and there's a Beyond boss on the screen, I see him, do the corpse explosions or whatever, and I die. Maybe I shouldn't have been doing a Beyond map. So on and so forth. And of course you can always say those things with any build, that you could play better and then not have the deaths happen and so on and so forth. But from my perspective as a shitty player, finally having a build that can make some mistakes and I can just play the way I want to play and I only die in a really sort of small set of situations is awesome. As I said, very, very luxury. I'm cruising through the town, smashing up mobs, having a fantastic time. Best league start that I've ever had. Probably the best experience I've ever had, as I said in the last video, in any action RPG. So, that's all I have to say about the build and the first week of the league. And I'm looking forward to playing a little bit less, but still playing a lot, because this is, as I said, the best state that I think the game has ever been in. So, I want to thank everybody who has watched these so far. And please do hit that like and subscribe button. And I appreciate you.